Warning: it is important that prior to performing this or any other safety or service procedure on any Curotto-Can product, that the person performing the work has both read and firmly understands the parts and service manual, as well as the product operator's manual, including the detailed safety instructions that accompany this vehicle. If there is anything that is unclear or that you don't understand, do not attempt to operate the vehicle or perform any of the service or maintenance tasks called out in this video. Quarantine the area, walk away from the vehicle, and contact your supervisor immediately for clarification. It is also important to ensure you are wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment, hereafter referred to as PPE, prior to beginning this or any other service or maintenance procedures. Hey, I'm Travis Wallen, the service guru here at Highland Environmental in beautiful Fort Payne, Alabama. Thanks for joining me at the Service Shack. Today we're going to show you some preventative maintenance tips that you should use on your Curotto-Can to make sure that it's route ready every day. The Curotto-Can automated carry can has the fastest load times of any automated system on the market. The Curotto-Can can be added to many front loader models to convert a collection vehicle used for commercial routes to one that can be used to also pick up residential waste and recycling, all with unmatched productivity. The following is a daily checklist that is crucial to maintaining the life of your Curotto-Can. Normal maintenance intervals are based on an 8-hour day and average operating conditions. Severe use or adverse conditions can make it necessary to do this maintenance more frequently. The nose of the Curotto-Can should be gently lowered to the ground in front of the cab. Before you perform any checks that require the unit to be running, ensure that the pump is engaged and that the air pressure is about 90 psi. The pre-trip visual inspection will include the following: overall structural integrity, no damage to the container, arm, or slide, no oil leaks from the hydraulic components, gripper belts are without tears and no extensive wear, safety pins and safety chains are in place without damage and working properly. Check that the container is securely mounted to the forks. Now we'll talk about pre-trip auto retract check. First, extend the slide, dump, and gripper cylinders a minimum of 2 inches. Raise the front loader's arms a maximum of 24 inches, and all 3 cylinders should fully retract. The auto retract test using the fork's lower function should be carried out with the Curotto-Can resting on the ground. This will provide the system with a resistance and prove that the Curotto-Can cylinders retract correctly. Extend the slide, dump, and gripper cylinders a minimum of 2 inches, lower the front loader forks, and all 3 cylinders should fully retract on the Curotto-Can. Pre-trip cylinder cushion check. Fully extend and retract the slide to check the cushion at each end of the stroke. Then fully cycle the dump cylinder and check the cushion at the top and bottom of the stroke. The correct cushion is 1 to 2 inches with the cylinder coming to rest softly at the end of the stroke. This internal cylinder cushion will ensure that the dumping mechanism does not slam at the end of each stroke. Check the grip cylinder cushions on grip extend and grip retract. There should be 3/4 of an inch of cushion on both ends of the cylinder stroke. Pre-trip gravity hinge check. Fully retract all 3 cylinders. Reach to the backside of the lower dump arm and physically check that the gravity hook is present and free to swing into the pocket. Check that the gap between the hinge and the pocket is no more than a 1/2 inch. The gravity hinge should engage the pocket when the Curotto-Can reaches a 12-degree angle. If the gravity hinge does not engage the pocket freely, the hinge assembly may require adjustment or anti-seize. Note: in cold climates, snow and road mist can collect on the hinges, causing the hinge to freeze. Use anti-seize to prevent freezing. Caution: severe component damage may occur if the gravity hinge does not function as intended. Pre-trip packer blade lockout check. Fully retract all 3 cylinders on the Curotto-Can. Using the front loader arm control, raise the Curotto-Can to a point directly above the cab. Press the front loader pack control button and then attempt to cycle the auto pack if equipped, using the auto pack control. The packer blade function should be completely locked out. Caution: Do not put the Curotto-Can into the hopper to complete this test. Do not operate the unit until this lockout is operational. Serious component damage may occur. Some front loader manufacturers have a Packer blade override switch available to the operator. Using this switch will allow the Packer blade to operate with the arms up and the forks stowed, making it possible to crush the Curotto-Can. If present, this switch must be disabled before operating the Curotto-Can. The following is a checklist that you should perform every week or 40 hours. First, lower the Curotto-Can to the ground. Then lock out and tag out the truck. Inspect arm cylinder mounting brackets for cracks and damage. Inspect upper and lower fork cylinder brackets for cracks or damage. Inspect carriage assembly, slide and brackets for cracks and damage. Inspect complete dump arm for cracks and damage. Inspect the gripper assembly for cracks and damage. Check that the gripper cylinder jam nut is tight, and also inspect the bearing caps for cracks and damage. Inspect Curotto-Can pockets and corners for cracks and damage. Inspect all cylinder mounting brackets for cracks, damage, and overall integrity. Ensure that all bearing caps are properly torqued to 48 foot-pounds. On pre-2018 Curotto-Cans, check that the hubcaps are present on the spindles, bearing buddies, and covers. Use a torque wrench to ensure the spindle lock nuts are tight. They should be torqued to 200 foot-pounds. Check that arm, hydraulic hoses, and electrical lines are secure, no damage, no wear. Check that electrical and hydraulic lines are secure and correctly routed around the pivot areas. Check that the electrical wiring plug and wiring harness from coupler to Curotto-Can hydraulic valve is secure with no damage. Ensure the truck's side plug harness has adequate slack. The harness should not tug when the forks are fully lowered. Check that the electrical solenoids on the Curotto-Can's main valve are secure with no damage. Mechanical on Curotto-Can hydraulics. Check that the quick disconnects are secure with no leaks and no damage. Check that the hydraulic hoses are secure and free from obstruction when the Curotto-Can is dumped. The main Curotto-Can hydraulic valve should be secure with no leaks and no damage. Check that the hydraulic hoses on the Curotto-Can to the cylinders are secure, no leaks, and no damage. Check that all the cylinders are secure with no leaks and no damage. The slide rollers should be checked at the top and bottom for excessive wear. The gripper bottom plate assembly should be checked to make sure the bolts are secure. See that the gripper assembly shows no signs of rubbing on the container pockets or hopper wall. Check the dump arm pivot pin. Lift up on the gripper assembly to check that the vertical movement does not exceed 1 inch. If you notice loose play in the grippers, you will need to remove a shim from underneath the bearing cap. To do this, first remove the lock nuts and bolts from the top bearing cap that is on the side of the gripper that is loose. Note, there is a grease plate underneath that will be loose when you remove the nuts and bolts. Then, remove the bearing cap and remove one shim to tighten the gripper. Finally, reinstall the bearing caps and bolts. Then reinstall the lower grease plate with the lock nuts. Ensure that all bearing cap bolts are properly torqued to 48 foot-pounds. Caution: the lowest point from the bottom of the grabber assembly and the top of the fork pocket is critical. This gap should never drop below 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. Do not use the equipment and consult your maintenance personnel. Adjustment of the lower roller bearing position to keep the slide alignment parallel to the carriage might be necessary. Also, the dump arm pivot pin and bushing and/or slide wear strips might need to be replaced. To check the slide assembly, first remove the lockout tagout. Then fully extend the carriage and place the unit back into lockout tagout. Check all 4 nylon strips on both sides for wear or damage. Notice, the slide assembly guides on 4 replaceable UHMW wear strips. The strips are designed to be used without lubrication. Adding lubrication will severely reduce wear strip life. Use your tire tread depth gauge to determine if the wear strips need to be replaced. Measure from the cap screw head, not the recess. There should be at least 1/16 of an inch nylon wear material present at each hole. Replace the wear strip and cap screws if any hole is less than 1/16 of an inch. When replacing the cap screws, be sure to use Loctite. Check slide carriage steel wear strips for wear or damage. When new, this strip is 1/4 inch thick. Sufficient lubrication is vital to the success of operations and longevity of the equipment. Weekly lubrication is recommended by the Curotto-Can since the high automated collection frequency cannot rely upon greasing schedules assigned to the unit body. There are 9 grease points shown on the lubrication guide. If you're not familiar with the grease zerk locations on the Curotto-Can, refer to the decal on the container and refer to the service manual. The following is a checklist that you should perform every month or 200 hours of operations. First, lower the Curotto-Can to the ground. Then lock out and tag out the truck. While the slide is fully retracted, grab a set of feeler gauges and check the gap between the top slide roller and the slide track. The distance should be adjusted to 15 thousandths of an inch. If you find there's an adjustment needed, first remove the slide roller pin retaining bolt with a 7/16 inch socket and ratchet and a 7/16 wrench. Then loosen both slide roller bearing lock nuts with a 3/4 inch socket and ratchet. Now you can make the necessary adjustments to the slide roller bearing adjustment bolt with a 15/16 inch wrench. You will want the feeler gauge to slide between the top roller and the slide track with slight drag. When finished, tighten the lock nuts and replace the retaining bolt. Remove the unit from lockout tagout. Before you perform any checks that require the unit to be running, ensure that the pump is engaged and that the air pressure is about 90 psi. Perform hydraulic and cycle time checks. Operate the front loader arms to the fully raised position and observe that the arm assembly slows down at the limit of the stroke using the hydraulic cushion. Operate the front loader arms to the fully down position and observe that the arm assembly slows down at the limit of the stroke using the hydraulic cushion. The hydraulic cushion may be an external deceleration valve to meter oil exiting the arm cylinders, or it may be incorporated into the arm cylinder internally. Consult body manufacturer for further details and adjustments. Check Curotto-Can cycle times. Use a stopwatch to observe the speed of each function. These are the specified cycle times for each function. Full slide extended, not faster than 2.5 seconds. Full slide retract, not faster than 1.5 seconds. Arm up or dump cycle, not faster than 2 seconds. Arm down or return cycle, not faster than 1.2 seconds. Grip close, not faster than 1 second. And grip open, not faster than 1 second. The following is a checklist that you should perform every 6 months or 1,000 hours of operation. Check the pressure on the Curotto-Can valve. Ensure the main relief is set to 2200 psi plus or minus 50, and the grabber port relief is set to 1800 psi plus or minus 100. Note, if these relief valves do not build up pressure within the preset settings, then you will need to replace them immediately. Check hydraulic oil flow to the Curotto-Can's main directional control valve. Supply oil must be routed to the port identified with the P stamped on the valve body. This flow shall not exceed 14 gallons per minute. Refer to flow measurement and adjustment for details on checking flow using a flow meter. Flow may also be directed from vane pump. Check the Curotto-Can supply pressure from the main body valve. Reference your body manufacturer's service manual for the correct pressure settings. Check for wear damage on cradles and replace as needed. On Howell units, you need to also ensure you have the correct clearance between the cradles and the fork fin. This gap should be 1/4 inch on each side. On non-Howell units, the fork tube must rest on the cradles when the Curotto-Can is in working position. If any adjustment is needed, refer to your body manufacturer's manual. That does it. If you still have questions, contact the Curotto-Can Technical Services at 866-310-4345. Remember, we're here to help in any way we can. So be safe out there, and we'll see you next time, here at the Service Shack.